So today's meeting is May the 5th, May the 9th, 2024. See, I don't even know what day it is anymore. And yeah, before we get started, let's do kind of a go around the room and see how people are doing. I'm going to start with Rose this time. Rose, how'd your day go? Look at that smile. I can't hear you. Something's up. You're not muted. So it's the wrong microphone. So if you go down to your little microphone and click on the little arrow by your microphone and just pick a different one, and it will probably work.
How's that?
Yep.
Yeah, good.
You got it.
Thanks. Yeah, I started today to change things up and I am not feeling well. So I'm just trying to figure out my reflux, and I got to thinking that I've been lying diet since May 1st, April 1st. April 1st.
Yeah.
And in order to eliminate everything so that I can heal my gut. And so it's hard because beef is very expensive, and I've been waiting for getting a cow from a farmer, and it's just
Right.
being delayed and delayed, and so now it's not coming till next weekend. So anyways, I found some hamburger and some flat iron steaks, which I've been enjoying because I'm trying to make it so that I can enjoy it all. But then I still feel like I'm trying to figure out how much to eat, because my hunger signals aren't really that great. I'm a little bit hungry, but I don't know when to stop. Like I still
Right.
just not
Yeah.
sure. And then I was worried that I didn't have enough fat. Um, I don't know, just a whole bunch of noise in my head about what to do. So then I was reading Dr. Bright's book, and she had a meal plan in there, kind of thing, of what to do for hormones. And so all the principles for reflux I've been thinking about, like it's better maybe to eat smaller meals more often. But again, I don't know how much and I don't know how often. So she kind of put in there how much and how often and the fat to go with it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. But I think the fat was just a bit. So I haven't been eating butter, right? Because of it not being on the
Right.
line. And so that was new. So this afternoon I made myself some ghee, and I thought, okay, that way there isn't any dairy, right? Because I've eliminated
Right.
dairy to try and again get to the bottom, the root cause of what's causing the reflux. So anyways, uh yeah, just my stomach was upset. I had to go to the washroom a few times. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so yeah, it's just a little bit discouraging, but I'm still hopeful that I will figure this out.
I'm sure you will, Rose. You've really been exploring that. I was listening to Ketogenic Woman, and she has the same sort of issue, even now with GERD, but she is finding that the L-reuteri yogurt is really helping her. And I know that I was reading that book, whatever it's called now, the gut one. It's on my kitchen counter. I can get it, but whatever it is. And anyway,
Yeah,
he talks about that too. So I'm like, I don't know.
yeah,
But you can try Dr. Elizabeth Bright. She's got some bright ideas.
exactly. Yeah,
So let's see how that goes.
thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks when your body's just not responding the way you want it to respond. But we don't give up. So we just keep exploring till we find the answers that we need.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if Pat wants to share anything here. I know that you'd like to keep your camera off, and that's totally fine, but I wonder if you want to share anything about how your
Oh,
week's been or where you're at.
I'm
In this
on.
group, we
Can
could.
you see me? I'm on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're on
I
there.
I
Okay.
got on and I had to get off, and I didn't know I'd still be on there. I don't
Oh,
know how
you're
to get
still
off
on
there.
over
Yeah.
here. So you're on twice.
Yes,
You're
I'm on
doing
twice, I
double
guess.
duty. You're
Yeah,
doing double duty.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
fine. That's
yeah.
totally fine, Pat. Well, I'm glad that you made it on and I can actually see your face. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd your week go then?
Well, there's certain things that I have to really think about, like we all do, like we all do. We like you say, we're all in different, maybe different programs.
That's
Uh,
fine.
but food choices for my program are, well, I guess for everybody's program is really important because with my program, I have to eat enough vegetables, which I love. I love vegetables. So, but you know how your habits from way back come easing in sometimes. And if I don't eat enough vegetables, uh, I start gaining weight, okay, because I'm eating other foods that are higher in calories. I'm figuring this out. And so my food choices are so very, very important. Plus, what Rose was saying, portion control, that was a big one for me. I always kidded myself and said I have big eyes about food when I looked at my plate. And you know how uh, if you eat on a white plate, and you decrease the amount of your portions, all you see around it is a white plate. That's what I used to see. And I wanted to fill that plate up. And so I was never satisfied mentally until I changed the size of my plate
Right.
to make it
Absolutely.
a smaller plate. So it looked like I had a full plate. So you kind of have to trick your mind also. So if I keep in those guidelines, and like you're saying, eat enough protein, um, for me. Eat enough healthy fats too, like she was saying. Not too many though, but on my program, but enough that because we do need healthy fats, that's for sure, in any program I feel. And so that's my, thinking most of the time is good food choices and
Hmm.
portion control. And I have a good week then.
Yeah. Just as long as every choice that you make, or as many choices as more the better,
Hmm.
towards where you want to be,
Right.
towards what you want for your eating plan. And yeah, that's the way to go. That's yeah, for sure. Um, Melanie looks like she wants to share something. Hers keeps lighting up a little bit.
Oh, it does. No, it doesn't. I have got myself off of video because this has been a bunny slipper day for me today. In fact, I didn't even get up until after 12 o'clock and I slept all morning. It wasn't that I was in bed reading or anything. I've just had a kind of a low day and it's not my best day. It's like when we eat uh, food that's not on our plan. We think that it's the old way would think, oh, this is a treat. It's not a treat when we're not, you know, for me, it wasn't a treat today to not be moving and going,
Mhm.
but I really didn't feel well. So I just took the day and I only had one thing on my schedule to do today, and that was to go to an aquafit class and I didn't go. And so I haven't even really combed my hair. It's just been one of those real bunny slipper days. So
Yeah.
that's why I was on my picture blacked out.
So does that
Not
mean
that
yesterday
what
you ate something? Yesterday you ate something off plan? Is that what
no,
happened? Or?
I didn't. I didn't eat anything off plan. No, I've been on plan, but I just haven't been feeling well. And I think it's some allergies.
Okay.
I think it's, you know,
Yeah.
sinus stuff. And I am, like we would say in the AA program, I'm hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And I'm not saying that in the physical, more in the spiritual. I'm very tired. And I'm tired of doing all this spring cleanup work. And it just seems like you don't get anywhere. You work and work and work, and oh, it's a lot of work to look after a property. So I'm just discouraged, I think. I've had a bit of a discouraging week. Yeah, that
I
would be
think
it.
I think you're doing a whole lot of really great self-care. You felt like you just needed some extra rest.
I
And
did.
when you have extra rest, you're able to tackle it at some point. And there's really no rush. It's not
No,
like it has to be done right away. So you took a
no.
little bit of time for yourself. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think that is a good thing to just step back and rest. And
Yes.
that's what I really did today is I
Yeah.
just didn't do anything, and it felt kind of good, really. But it's
Mhm.
not great Zoom meeting calls, but we're
Oh, that's
amongst
okay.
it doesn't matter.
We're amongst friends. We're not doing any hairdressing,
uh,
exams or anything,
yeah,
whatever.
and I did do some deeper well, I would call it some spiritual work. This week I had an opportunity to do that, and so some things really surfaced. I found a part that had a whole lot of shame. Nothing was a secret. It wasn't like I had new revelations of things, the things that I've known. But I maybe it was able to go in and give a little bit of extra love and care and support to a young teenage girl part. And then I found another protective part, like a mothering part of this girl. And then I found an angry part, you know. And what I was looking for was I discovered that attitude of entitlement again, because I did have a
Oh,
break on
yeah,
Saturday, and I just
yeah.
felt very entitled to it. So I thought, well, let's find out maybe some reasons why I carry that entitlement, and maybe I did. I hope, I'm trusting that the Lord will take what was brought up. I presented it back, and yeah. So yeah, there was an angry part, and that would make the entitlement. I think that would
Yeah.
make me feel entitled, and yeah. Then there was this protective mama bear part, and then this shamed little girl part. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was the bit of the week.
It's so interesting when we start to examine the internal world and what's
Mm,
happening inside of us and all of the things that we've hung on to from
yeah,
our childhood and just kept them into adulthood. But now
yeah,
we have to become a whole person.
yeah,
So looking back into each one of those parts, why are they there? And bringing them into us,
yeah,
into the whole person.
yeah.
Mhm.
That was what this.
That's great.
I had seen something on a Facebook post that prompted me to look at it in a little bit different way. And what you're saying about the integration, that's what this gentleman was speaking about. That these parts can become altered, back in the hurt days, and then it's to find them and introduce them to Jesus and bring them in back in, integrate
Mhm.
them into the soul because you know, they have been cut off in some way
Exactly.
or separated. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this piece that I had of this man, and it was just different language, but it was good language that I appreciated it. So I'm looking forward to the integration of those altered parts of my soul that got cut off along the way and went into some form of hiding.
Yeah. And that's what they do for therapy, when there's somebody who has dissociative identity disorder, where they have multiple personalities. And that's
Yeah,
what it is. They've broken off completely. So
yeah,
they've detached from the host person, the real person,
yeah,
and into all those different alters. Now, for
yeah.
most of us, it's not to that degree, but we
Right.
still have within us, like the little child or the
Yeah,
angry teenager. or the, or the protective sibling or mother or whatever. So we've got these different parts that we need to look at why they're there, where they came from, and integrate them back into who we are. Because we're still discovering who we are in Christ. We are a new creature. And that doesn't mean just us as the person, this body, but all of us. It means every part of our soul, every part of our mind, every cell in our body. We're a new creature in Christ.
Amen. That's it. And so these, becoming aware of these pieces and parts, it is part of the identity of who we are in Christ. Becoming
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because I think of a child. So he wants us to have what? A childlike faith. Well, then if there's a childlike faith, there's a childlikeness within us. It's still there. We're not eliminating it. We're coming to terms with it. And it's like, oh, it's okay to play. It's okay to have a childlike faith. It's okay to not understand everything. And it's okay to do what you're told by the Lord without understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or there's a time within us, when you have a teenager that's rebellious. Well, there's a time that we need to be rebellious.
Yes.
If you're told to do something by a higher authority, but it's contrary to what God says, then that's the time to be rebellious.
Yeah.
So there's maybe a purpose for every part that's within us.
I believe.
So understanding those purposes and then bringing that into the here and the now.
Yes.
And applying it appropriately to each situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for the feedback. I don't share that stuff with everybody, but I felt, obviously I knew you would know what I was speaking about. So it was good to thank you. Yeah. So that's my week.
That's your week, and I'm glad you had some extra rest.
I did have some extra
Glad
rest.
you did.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
You can tackle the hairdo next week.
The hairdo, yeah.
You look fine, Melanie. You look fine.
Thanks.
All right, Sally, tell us about your week. How'd it go? No, Sally, you're muted.
Yeah, no, I had a really good week, as most of you know now. I struggled for 5 months, and today it was like the curtain lifted, the fog was gone, there's no sugar and flour for 8 days. I know it's Joan always talks about it takes 4 days, but it took me 8, and I didn't really know how long it would be, but I realized this morning that I had no hunger or cravings last night, and that's my bad time when I always do. And I didn't really realize it though till this morning. I woke up and I thought, all right, I'm out of prison. I'm sane. I mean, that's how I felt. And I did it with a challenge in another group of tracking and weighing everything I eat, and weighing myself daily, no matter what, even if I overate. Just weighing myself daily, because that's kind of stops me from eating in the evening. A lot of times I think about getting on the scale the next morning. So it's not so much accountability to me as it stops me in my tracks a lot of times. And Pat, we were talking last week. She reminded me that I always was a tracker, and I always was aware. And it's come out of fashion now to do those things. So I tried doing all sorts of other things for 5 months, and it didn't work. So I went back to kind of my basics, my home base, and I feel really good again. I lost 6 pounds in those 8 days. And and
Wow.
even more than that though is just that feeling of I'm not hungry, I'm not craving. I have to remind myself to have dinner. Um, it's like it's a struggle, 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 and then the next
And then no
minute.
struggle. Yeah. And that's amazing, Sally. And it's a wonderful feeling. As I was sharing with you in an earlier hour, it's like she's blooming. It's like
Mhm.
this flower that's blooming. You know,
Mhm.
she went through the hard part, and that's getting through the ground. You know, once you get through the ground and you feel the energy of the sun, and you're nourished by the water, the sun, the washing of the water of the word, and the Son of God, you start to bloom. And you're blooming. You made it through that tough time.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for people that are just starting on a new way of eating, whatever that plan is. At first, when you're letting go of all of those addictive substances that technically are not food, even if they say that on the label, even if they say that they're heart healthy or whatever, they're not food. Food is what God has made for us, staying close to nature. But once you get off the other stuff onto real food, it's freeing. It's freeing. And I know that Rose can attest to that. She went through a similar process earlier in the year. And I feel like that, you know, it's like I don't need that other stuff. And I still have times sometimes that I think I just want something extra. Maybe I need something extra. As long as it's on my plan, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Not really, not to me anyway. And yeah, Rose was sharing in the chat that she too is looking into the internal family systems. So basically, where that started from, that whole family systems, was from addictive families. When you have an addictive family, there are different components within the family that will defend the one that's addicted. They'll be the clown for the one that's addicted, and different parts they'll play. But we had the same sort of thing happening within us. And as I was saying earlier, it's the same type of therapy that is used for people who have dissociative identity disorder. And they'll use that to bring that person kind of back together to be one person rather than those alters that they're living in this one, living in that one, living in this one. And that's one of the most interesting of all the psychological disorders, because people that are in an alter can have, so this is for people diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. So people that are in one of their alters, not only do they have a different name, a different gender, a different age, they can have different eye prescriptions, they can have different allergies, depending what alter they're in. And I'm like, wait a sec. That blew my mind, that they could have a different eye prescription and they can have different allergies. I'm like, okay, this is speaking about the power of the mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not
Wow.
only their behaviors are different, but there's actually physiological things happening. I can't explain it, that's for sure. But it's very, very interesting.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What, why, what makes some of us that we will never give up? What, can you explain that? We will never give up, no matter how long we've tried and tried and tried and tried, we will try again. So what is that in us, Cathy? Do you know?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, because some of us will never give up and other people will try once and give up. I don't know, but I think it might go right back to our childhood. Whether it's somebody who had to fight and fight and fight to get what they needed, and they were determined they're going to get it. Or maybe they were encouraged as a child, you know, keep trying, keep trying. Maybe that's what it is. I really can't answer that question for you. I don't know, but I know that I was born with that stubborn streak.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I remember one time there was somebody, I was 14 and I had lost 2 pounds. I lost 2 pounds that week, and my friend says to me, "That's like $2 from on a Cadillac. That's a $2 deposit on a Cadillac." And I thought, how rude that is. And then, so what did I do? I made sure I was going to lose that weight, right? Because I'm stubborn. I'm going to do it, and nobody's going to tell me that I can't.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
I think you can, I don't know that that was the right attitude, but nonetheless, I think that you can use that can-do attitude for
Okay.
good or for bad.
That's true. That's true.
But I
Thank you.
think that God wants us to have a can-do attitude because we can. I
Yes.
can do all things through Christ who
Ah,
strengthens me,
yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Instead of having the defeatist attitude, it's like, but the enemy lied to me and told me that it was a good apple to eat, and so therefore I ate it. And
That's
then,
that's one of my favorite verses too, what you just said. What
exactly,
I can do anything in,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that or on anything so far, anyone?
I love your take on the family system, that each part has a purpose. I thought of them as having, that they were trying to do well for you. The indulger is just trying to comfort you, and the critical mother or whatever is just trying to keep you from getting
Harm.
embarrassed. And but you're actually saying that each part has a purpose that you could bring into the here and now.
Yes, but some parts might need some correction.
Right. But just like the rebel part or something, there are times when you do need that part.
There is a time that you need that part, right? So the correction may be to learn to use the part at the appropriate times,
Right.
right? So Melanie's talking about, the angry part. So you've got an angry teenager or whatever it is in there. So you've got that angry part. Well, there is a time that anger is a good thing to have.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
a fearful
Jesus was
part.
angry.
Jesus got angry, right? So I think all of that has its place, but sometimes we are out of place with our internal self. Sometimes we're just going on, the little child within us or the little baby within us, saying like the id, as Freud would say, the id, but I want it and I want it now. Right?
Right.
So, yeah,
We don't want to drive in the car.
right. Right. Yep, they
There's
wanted
back to what you were saying before, there's a poster around, I think it's in the Rock, I'm not sure, but it's impossible equals I'm possible.
Yes.
That's right. I've seen that one.
I really like that.
Impossible means I'm possible, and we are possible.
Mhm.
Alrighty.
It sounds like a
I'm-
Pattism, actually. I think she's she's writing it down.
No, she might have something else for us, but I'm
Yeah.
going to get the screen up. But if you have something else for us, yeah, please share it. So as always, I'm going to read, and then if there's something that you want to, say something about, just feel free to chime in. We're moving on to chapter 5 from the Kingdom Way. And this one has, let me just get that little highlight off there. There we go. On eating plans. So I know in this room we have a number of different eating plans, and I'm not sure that everybody needs to eat exactly the same. And this was originally designed to teach in a church workshops for 12 weeks. So that's why it's got a schedule and the whole kit and caboodle there that we don't really need. We are looking at growing fruit, not flesh. So my nourishment comes from doing the will of God who sent me and from finishing his work, John 4:34. With physical nutrition, don't let anybody condemn you for what you eat or drink, or for not celebrating certain holy days or new moon ceremonies or Sabbaths or their birthdays. For these rules are only shadows of the reality yet to come, and Christ himself is that reality. I really like both of those verses. Our nourishment, of course, is to do what God tells us to do. And secondly, don't let anybody condemn you for the eating plan that you have. If the Lord has shown you to eat that way, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter about the celebrating of those special days that might be there. And we all know that we have probably every week of the year, there's something special happening. It's an event at church, or it's a neighbor that asks you to come over, or a dinner, or a birthday, or whatever it is, some kind of celebration. But that doesn't mean that we have to partake in that. And well, we can partake and not actually partake in the food part if it doesn't suit our nutrition plan.
Kathy?
Yes.
Yeah, I woke up at 4 this morning or whatever. And so I was reading Dr. Bright's book the day before. And so I was asking God, like I just felt like in my spirit that he was leading me to that eating plan. So, I it's hard to integrate, like, what does Jesus want? What do I want? Like, just to be led by the Spirit. Like, there's so many voices, right? That
Yes.
we're trying to learn, we're trying to figure it all out. And so, but that's what I'm trying to do, is to spend time listening to God. And, I've been practicing meditation 3 times a day, the appreciation Jesus meditation, and then I've been of late spending more time meditating on God's word and just sitting with it, and just I have a new format of questions, and I just I feel like I'm just on the cusp of, just like a little baby trying to learn how to uh, hear the Spirit's voice. So anyways, it was just kind of interesting that. And then, am I doubting that this is going to work? Yeah, maybe I am. Like, maybe again, it's just my maturity to understand, like, this is where Jesus is leading me. And, you know, am I doubting him? But I thank you for that reminder, because I really feel like it was something that he spoke to my heart about. That,
Yeah.
Mhm.
this is maybe what you need. You just need to portion it. You need to eat more often. You need to have a little bit of more fat with that, like, just kind of things that will be healing, because I just feel like he wants me to be healed. And part of me is like, oh well, maybe this is my thorn in the flesh. It's like,
Yeah.
oh. But anyways, I'll stop talking now.
No,
Rose,
I
what
mean,
is
that's
that Christian meditation that you do?
Oh, so it's called an appreciation meditation. um I
It's
learned it from
Christian?
appreciation. Yeah, it's just something I learned from a couple of girls that have podcasts called Face to Face. And they teach people how to go into a quiet place, and um, just a quiet memory, a beautiful memory, and just sit there. And it is a real form of meditation where you're, feeling it and picturing it, and then saying, appreciating what about God, and just sort of saying, I see this and I appreciate this about this and that. And then asking him to asking to be aware of his presence, and just allow him to speak to your heart. and then ask him what he appreciates about me. And so you're just kind of in this beautiful, quiet place
Wow,
with him.
really nice.
It is, and it's 3 times a day I've been doing that because again, I just started it once, and now the Lord led me to like, okay, I just want you to know I'm here for you. I just want you to know I'm real. It's just something about that time that is very, very real. Yeah.
Reminds me of Daniel praying 3 times a day.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful that you're taking that time to sit with the Lord and listen,
Right.
because he wants prayer isn't just, sending out our requests, many different kinds of prayer, but meditating and just sitting there and listening to what God's saying in your heart. And Rose, you have a heart that's after God, and that's what he cares about. He doesn't care if you did the exact right thing. He cares about our heart, that we're pursuing his heart. And
Yeah.
so as we pursue our ways of eating, maybe we didn't quite do it right,
Yeah.
but we're pursuing that and we're saying, Lord, what am I doing? And he'll guide us, he'll
Mhm.
direct us,
Mhm.
right? So, yeah, it's very, very beautiful.
Just want to rest. I just
looking
want
at-
to rest in him. Yeah.
Yeah, just to rest in it. Enjoy the journey, right? That's what
Yeah.
Totters is about. You try something, observe it, you talk about it, you tweak it a bit, and just enjoy repeating it slowly.
Yeah.
You look at all the different ways of eating that we tried in the past, or diets and stuff, all these different plans. But now it really is time to ask God, what does he want us to do? Not someone else. What does he want? And allow him to lead us into what he wants. And he knows your body, he made it, so he knows, and he will direct you on how you are to eat. I mean, how timely is this, right? Ask for a desire for healthy foods and ask him to remove your cravings for the unhealthy foods. And this is the confidence that we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, and his will is that we would have life and life abundantly. So if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, whatsoever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we desired of him. So he will lead us. 1 John 5:14-15. So our focus just has to stay on him throughout the whole process of learning or relearning balance, not to eat this or don't eat that. We're drawn to whatever we focus on. So if we keep focusing on don't eat the cookie, don't eat the cookie, don't eat the cookie. Well, first of all, your brain doesn't hear the don't part. All it's listening to is the other part. Cookie, 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 right? So rather than looking that way, let's look at what God does want. Do eat that clean food. Do eat that clean food, whether that's meat or a salad or a vegetable or good old steak or whatever you're doing. Then eat that.
Cathy,
And
can I tell you a story,
ahead.
little story? Okay.
Please do.
I have a very good friend, and Sally knows her also, that lost 162 pounds and has kept it off for over 50 some years now. And she was in her 20s and she went to the doctor. She was 162 pounds overweight. And the doctor said to her, "You're going to die unless you do something about your weight." She went home and prayed to the Lord about what she should do. What should I do, Lord? And he answered her. And she went on this program and lost 162 pounds and has kept it off for 50 some years. Isn't that a wonderful story?
It is a
Absolutely.
wonderful story. And I have heard that story, or not that specific one, but similar ones many, many times over.
Okay. Yes.
And I think of this one guy, his name is Bill in Alaska. and he was 700 and something pounds. And
Wow.
he just wanted to die. He's like, he hadn't been out of his home for years, laid in the bed for years. And he just wanted to die. And he cried out to God. And he said, God, help me. Help me. Like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. And you know what happened? He happened to be watching a YouTube. And it was Carrie Mans from Homestead How, who is a carnivore. And he listened and connected with Carrie because Carrie had lost a whole bunch of weight, over 100 pounds, and he connected with them. Well, this has ballooned into a major thing now. So this guy, Bill, has lost over 200 pounds now, and he's only been doing this carnivore diet. And I don't know if he's doing lion completely. He might be, which is just meat and water. I'm not quite sure on that part, but he has lost over 200 pounds in about a half a year.
Wow.
He's regaining his health. He's exercising every day. He's motivating me. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw this guy exercising on his QB. So that's one of these little ellipticals you put at your chair. And he had 600 strides on there. And I'm like, 600? I'm not even getting 600. If you can do 600, I can do 600, right? I mean, he's just doing fabulous. I'm really proud of him and so grateful to the Lord that he answers prayers. He cares. You know, the lady that or person that lost 162 pounds, or Bill, or each one of us. He cares, and he does lead us, and he does guide us. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's encouraging. So today in our society, what? A third of adults at any one time, they're focusing on some kind of diet. In fact, many today are literally dying, as I was just saying, because of it. Over the past 50 years, that focus on diet, exercise, physical health has exponentially increased. Yet we've grown more and more unhealthy, with a major increase in lifestyle diseases like diabetes type 2, strokes, osteoporosis, cancers, heart disease. So what would it be like if 1/3 were wholly focused on knowing God? And I'm not saying that there isn't people that know God fully, and they still get sick. That does happen, obviously, that you're going to be doing everything right and still get sick. We know that. But we still have to do our part. But what would it look like if we did have everyone that was pursuing health? Walking and talking with God. This is kind of what Rose was sharing earlier with meditation. We walk and talk with them throughout the day. And diets themselves, they're just confusing. They say, don't do this, do this. Next week in the news, there's a new way to eat, and Facebook or somewhere else, it pops up that these experts say do something different. God desires balance and moderation, but moderation of what? People are using that as an excuse to eat the substances, the poisons, the processed foods. Sugars are not food, or flours. So he already gave us the perfect portion size, and that is gauged in our hypothalamus within our brain. It tells us when we're hungry, when we're thirsty, when it's time to eat, when it's time to drink. It also tells us when we've had enough food. Unfortunately, as rebellious people, we don't always listen. We have sort of steered our conscience towards that, towards the satiety. And I know it's been kind of hijacked by the processed food. So we've lost that connection with satiety and hunger signals. At least I know I have. And I think some of you can identify with that. We can go over and over and not even recognize, have I had enough? Have I not had enough? I don't know, right? So today we want to begin to listen attentively to whatever the Holy Spirit's saying to us. And he does speak in a lot of different ways. And one of those ways is through that biological design, kind of paying attention. Am I full? Am I hungry? So it's kind of like the exercises we did back in week 2. He also shows us what foods our body needs through our appetite, if our appetite's not distorted from years of neglect and abuse, which mine probably has been, never mind probably. Through listening to the voice of the Lord, though, and careful attention to what he's saying to us, we can relearn what our bodies need and what they're asking for. So don't despair if you have abused your body. It's not the past that God's concerned about, it's your future. He has great plans for your future, right? That's what he says. My plans for you are for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. So today is the day to start walking out that for his glory. We just, confess our sin of neglect, abuse, or anything that we've done. And anything that didn't come from that place of love. For God is love. So we need to start loving ourselves, basically, from the inside out. Right? Sometimes we ate, and maybe within that internal family systems, as we were speaking about, maybe we were the abuser within us, and we were abusing ourselves through the way that we ate. But that abuser has to bow. That abuser has to bow to us. It has to submit to us. So moving on to slide 6. Oh, that's a little confusing. Okay, I propose to you that there isn't one plan that suits all, that we're all uniquely created, and that a wide variety of foods will naturally choose that our bodies require in the quantity that it requires if we have not become desensitized to the voice of the Lord in our eating habits due to years of casting off restraint, greed, and idolatry. Fortunately, through God's grace, this can change now. I've listed a few popular nutrition plans below. Each of them has some validity, but the final decision of what you do, it'll be in the next slide. The final decision of what you do will be between you and the Lord. No longer will gluttonous behavior be on your agenda, but rather giving of thanks and moderation in all of your eating behaviors. If you were to take a child and you were to give a child all kinds of real food out there, and you would say to the child, go ahead, eat whatever you want when you want. Now, this is a child that hasn't been distorted in their eating plans. It's just available to them. So it hasn't been distorted by modeling from the parents. They've always had good food available, real food, and not abused or anything like that with this child. They will probably choose just go eat what they want, and they will pick a nourishing diet. And animals will do that. Animals, if you give them the opportunity to eat this, whatever, they will pick what their bodies need. And they've done a lot of studies with animals and found that they will eat the same proportion. Like dogs will eat that proportion, cats will eat that proportion of proteins and fats and anything else that they might include in there, carbs. So here it says an example of Canada's food guide, but it's not. Oh yeah, it is. I guess so. An example of what to eat in a day. Yeah, according to Canada's food guide, that's what that is basically. And let's see what's on slide 8 here. That actually is what I ate when I did lose over 100 pounds every single day. Pretty much the same thing. I made a soup, I had a salad, or I had a stir fry, one or the other. I'd have a salad at lunch, or I'd have a stir fry. And this, I don't know what that is, whatever. Eggs for breakfast, coffee, a few fruit. I had 24 almonds a day, hunk of cheese, and a little yogurt. So that was every day the same thing. So looking at the hunger scale, rather than going to stuffed, and then not eating for a while. And there are different opinions on this. Some people say, yes, you should just eat so much and then don't eat for a long time. But as Joan would say, that could turn on the food-seeking behavior. So you might wonder about that one. Generally speaking, you want to eat till you're satisfied. So somewhere around this number 6 on the scale, maybe to full, but you don't want to be stuffed or to the point that you're vomiting because you ate way too much, right? So somewhere you're satisfied, you've had enough. And categories, of course, you're all familiar with that. Different kinds of proteins. I do focus on animal proteins, even though I know that you can get some proteins from beans and so on, but they will not be complete because there are certain animal amino acids that we do need from animals. Now, Ben Bickman, who is a metabolic researcher, he really speaks into that, and he says that a vegan diet is not compatible with life. Now, if it's a vegetarian and they're going to include eggs and they're going to include, some proteins in there, they could still work something out that would be nutritional. You could survive on it and be healthy. So you can choose whatever kind of plan you want. It could be Candace Food Guide, or the American My Plate, I think you have. Or you could stay closer to a vegetarian, pescatarian, a vegan, paleo, low carb, or possibly carnivore, which has several different levels of that. Some are carnivore, so they eat only animal products, but they will include maybe spices with that. They may allow themselves to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Others will not do that. They'll have they'll bring that down to no spices, just salt. Some will have only ruminant meats, such as cow, so beef or bison, or that kind of thing. And some will have lion diet, which is only beef and water. And that's
And lamb,
so
and lamb. It's ruminant.
and lamb
Lion diet is a
and lamb
ruminant animal.
and ruminants. Well, so is a goat and a deer and a bison and
Yeah,
several
yeah,
others, but the ruminant animals.
Yeah.
And so you can have still quite a variety. And it depends on why. It really goes back to you. Why do you want to do this? Now, Rose is working on healing. And so that's why she's doing this. I'm not really working on healing. I just want to, I want to not have the cravings, which I will get if I'm eating the other stuff. And there have been a number of health things that have been restored just by going with carnivore. So I don't really want to go off that. And I just stay pretty much where I am. So, but we need to each seek the Lord for ourselves and also research them all. Look at your why. Why do you even want to lose weight or change your health or do anything? And then examine the balance between the fat, the carbohydrates, and the proteins. The 3 macronutrients. I know a lot of people will focus, well, you need to have your vegetables for the micronutrients. But what about the macronutrients? Never mind the micro. But let's look at the big pictures before we get into the little pictures. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but you actually need different ratios when you're eating vegetables because they have anti-nutrients as well. So it is it could be complicated, but it's not. We're just going to listen to the Lord and what he says. Proverbs 23:19-21 says, "Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe the man with rags. In other words, don't just go hang out with people that pig out all the time. That's the Cathy's version. Let your moderation be known to all men. And I think not just in moderation, but go ahead, let people see what you eat. If they judge you, it's not on you, it's on them. 1 Timothy 4:8. This one people use as an excuse sometimes. For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having the promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. It says bodily exercise profiteth little, but it doesn't say that it doesn't profit, because it does profit us. It does help our bodies. So I want to ask, I know that Rose is going to a gym. She's getting some movement in. And I do my sunrise walks, and I go to the gym and do a little bit here, a little bit there. It's little, but that's okay. Anybody else? Do you have
I've
any
been
form of?
walking too, Kathy. I've been
Yeah,
doing a lot of walking this spring, so that's been good.
yeah, I saw you. One time you had the video on, and you were giving us a beautiful tour of Perry Sound. That was really nice. Yeah, walking. Sally, what about you?
I got my vision board here.
Yes, yes. We were working on that earlier on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually decided I'm going to change myself from my jeans into a cheerleader outfit. That's
Oh,
I vision myself as a cheerleader.
yeah. And sometimes we have to be our own cheerleader if we don't have anyone cheerleading, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I did not realize that we are at